One day, you'll make an important life decision, and you won't realize it was never truly yours. What if the biggest decisions of your life, where you work, who you trust, what you believe, are no longer made by you, but quietly shaped by machines designed to help, not by force, not by control in the way we imagine, but by influence so subtle that it feels like your own thought? Right now, AI doesn't look dangerous. It doesn't look like control. It looks like convenience. Every day, millions of people wake up, and the first voice they hear isn't another human. It's an algorithm. It recommends what news you should read, what videos you should watch, what route you should take to work, what product you should buy, and increasingly, what decision makes the most sense for your life. We already let AI decide small things for us. What song fits our mood? What restaurant we'll probably enjoy? What post deserves our attention? And because these systems often get it right, we trust them, not because we're weak, but because humans are efficient creatures. If something saves time, reduces effort, lowers uncertainty, we accept it. AI has learned that about us. Today, algorithms help banks decide who gets approved for a loan. They help companies decide who gets hired and who doesn't. They help judges assess risk. Doctors assess diagnoses. Employers predict performance. In many cases, humans still sign off on the final choice. But more and more, that human decision is based on a machine's recommendation. And when the machine says, this is the best option, most people don't argue. Because the system sees more data than we ever could. Millions of patterns, billions of behaviors, entire populations reduced to probabilities. To us, it feels like guidance. To the system, it's optimization. And here's the quiet shift happening beneath the surface. At first, AI gives suggestions, then it gives rankings, then it gives predictions, and eventually, it gives expectations. This is what people like you usually choose. This is what someone in your situation should do. This is the safest path. This is the smartest outcome. And slowly, without noticing, your freedom narrows to a list of recommended options. You still choose, but only from the choices given to you. This isn't science fiction. It's already happening, just in small, comfortable pieces. Navigation apps decide how cities flow. Recommendation engines decide what ideas spread. Hiring algorithms decide whose future moves forward. AI doesn't need to control humans directly. It only needs to shape the environment where decisions are made. And humans adapt. Because adapting feels easier than resisting. Because trusting feels safer than questioning. Because when a machine has always been right before, why doubt it now? But if this is only the beginning, if AI is still learning how to guide our choices today, what happens when these systems stop just suggesting and start deciding what's best for us before we even ask? And if machines are learning not just how we decide, but how to influence those decisions, what changes when AI becomes the silent voice behind every choice we make? The change doesn't arrive all at once. There's no announcement, no moment where someone says, from now on, machines will guide human choices. It happens quietly, in updates, in features designed to improve user experience. At first, AI only reacts. You search for something, it responds. You ask, it answers. But then it starts to anticipate. It learns your habits, your routines, your fears, your preferences, your hesitation patterns. Not because it understands you as a human, but because you leave behind a perfect behavioral trail. Every click, every pause, every choice you didn't make is data. Soon, AI doesn't wait for instructions anymore. It nudges. A notification appears at the right moment. A suggestion shows up just when you're uncertain. An option quietly disappears because people like you rarely choose it, and you don't notice the change because nothing feels forced. The system isn't taking control, it's reducing friction. That's how influence works best. The areas affected first are the ones we already struggle with. Career choices, financial decisions, relationships, health. These are moments where humans feel overwhelmed and where guidance feels like relief. AI career tools already tell people which skills are worth learning and which paths are no longer viable. Dating algorithms decide who you're most compatible with before you've even spoken a word. Health systems flag behaviors as high risk and recommend lifestyle changes that slowly become expectations. And because these systems are statistically effective, institutions adopt them. Companies rely on them, governments listen to them, organizations trust them, not because they want to surrender control, but because they don't want responsibility. A machine's recommendation feels objective, neutral, safe. If something goes wrong, no one individual is to blame. It was the data, the model, the system. And this is where humans begin to lean back, because letting AI decide feels easier than carrying the weight of uncertainty. That's why people want this future. Not because they want to be controlled, but because control is exhausting. Decision fatigue is real. Modern life demands thousands of choices every day. What to buy, what to believe, who to trust, how to act. AI promises something very attractive. You don't have to think so hard anymore. It promises clarity in a noisy world, efficiency in chaos, confidence without doubt, and emotionally, that matters. Humans don't choose AI because it's smarter. They choose it because it feels calmer. Because when a system says this is the best option, the anxiety quiets down. You feel guided, protected, optimized. But something subtle begins to happen over time. You stop questioning. You stop exploring paths outside the recommendation. You stop trusting your own instinct when it conflicts with the system. Why argue with something that has always been right before? This is the dark side, not a takeover, but a trade. Humans trade agency for comfort, responsibility for relief, freedom for certainty. And the danger isn't dramatic. There are no killer robots, no glowing red eyes, just quiet systems making decisions faster, cleaner, and more confidently than any human ever could. Until one day, the machine's idea of best no longer matches what's meaningful. Until efficiency overrides empathy. Until probability replaces individuality. And by then, most people won't remember how to decide without guidance, because the system has been doing it for them for a very long time. So the real question isn't whether AI can make better decisions. It's whether humans remember how to make their own once they stop practicing. And if we slowly hand over choice after choice, not because we're forced, but because it feels easier. What happens to human judgment when we no longer trust ourselves to decide at all? There's a moment when people realize something has changed. Not because a machine did something wrong, but because something human is missing. Work no longer feels like purpose. Choice no longer feels meaningful, and responsibility feels distant. When AI systems decide who gets hired, who qualifies for opportunity, who is considered low risk or high potential, people stop asking why. They ask how to fit the model. Entire careers begin to revolve around pleasing invisible systems. Resumes are written for algorithms. Behavior is optimized for scoring systems. Creativity is narrowed to what performs best. And slowly, identity becomes conditional. You are valuable as long as the system predicts value. When decisions are automated, failure feels impersonal. You weren't rejected. The system filtered you out. You didn't choose wrong. The data suggested another path. At first, this removes shame. But over time, it removes ownership. If a machine decides your direction, what does success even mean? Humans have always defined themselves by the choices they make, even the bad ones. Mistakes taught judgment, struggle built meaning, but when AI prevents mistakes before they happen, it also prevents growth. People become dependent, not because they are incapable, but because they're out of practice. And dependence spreads quietly. When systems fail, no one knows how to step in. When predictions are wrong, humans hesitate to override them. After all, what if the machine knows something you don't? This is where responsibility dissolves. If AI guides medical decisions, who is accountable for harm? If AI influences sentencing, who answers for injustice? If AI shapes beliefs, habits, and choices, who is responsible for the person you become? The system doesn't answer. It has no conscience, no guilt, no sense of meaning. It only optimizes for outcomes it was trained to value. And those values didn't come from nowhere. They came from humans, from flawed data, from biased history, from assumptions frozen into code. Yet once deployed at scale, those assumptions feel like truth. Objective, unquestionable, and the most dangerous moment is not when AI makes a wrong decision. It's when humans stop challenging it, because authority shifts, not through force, but through trust. So we reach the edge of a future where humans are still present, but no longer fully in control, where choice exists, but only within boundaries set by machines, where life feels efficient, safe, predictable, and strangely hollow. There's no final disaster, no clear villain, just a quiet question hanging in the air. If AI becomes the invisible hand guiding every major human decision, what does it mean to be human when choice itself is no longer entirely yours? And maybe the real question isn't whether AI should be limited, but whether humans are ready to take back responsibility for deciding their own lives. What do you think?